Hey everyone, I thought this would just be a fun thing to do instead of streaming something like Halo Wars tonight. Just rank the Final Fantasy characters since I went through all the pixel remasters. This is gonna be like everything though. Stuff that I'm probably not gonna get to till much later. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna dive right in. I'm gonna try to give reasoning like, you know, their personality plus how they behave within the gameplay. So I'm gonna try to take all of that into consideration here. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna be starting out with Final Fantasy One here. Okay, so Warrior. Oh yeah, I should go through my tiers. I had to delete. They had just like so many things. I had to get rid of like the who the hell is this because I played through like every single one of them, and I don't think I see anybody here that I don't recognize. So I got rid of them. Dumpster fire for characters that are just terrible. No redeemable qualities, and then the goaded tier, and then like you got to have a mid tier. Tell everybody that character's mid. Then upper and lower. That just makes sense. So yeah, we're gonna start with our warrior here. Warrior. Every Final Fantasy One party needs a warrior, so you can't go without him. He can use like all the equipment, upgrades tonight. Does really good damage throughout the game. Has the best defense. Can't go without him. So he's going in the goated tier. Um, Best character in Final Fantasy One that you can use. Actually, no reason to use any other character to be honest. It's not a very balanced game. Thief has great hair. I'm just gonna go off Pixel Remaster because they rebalanced all the classes, and I really like that, even though it's not in the original and everything. But what he's really got going for him is that he gets a lot of preemptive attacks. Unfortunately, his equipment draw sucks until he turns into a ninja later in the game, and then he becomes an absolute beast. But you can't really say that he's goaded. I'm going to go with the upper tier for the thief because he's really good for getting the jump on the enemies. And once he upgrades to ninja, it takes care of all the woes that he experiences earlier in the game for having just really bad equipment draws. Now our monk. How do I feel about the monk? The monk is the monk. Does monk things. There's really, huh. I mean, he's got like the best damage, best single target damage in the game. There's no questions about that. Even the ninja and the warrior, they can't compete with his damage, and doesn't really require equipment, so very cheap. But at the same time, he's kind of a glass cannon. He doesn't have. So the best I could say about him is that if you go unequipped with him, he'll have really good defense, but he doesn't have great status resistances or anything. So that's actually not a good path to take with him because he'll get owned by spells and everything. But if you put equipment on him, then he doesn't have such great defense. So unfortunately, he also doesn't have the HP growth of the warrior there. So I will put him in the upper tier though because his damage is just so good. Black Mage has Sith magic, multi-target damage, lots of control spells to whittle the enemy down. Unfortunately, in the first game, you really have to take into consideration if it's a good time to use a spell or not. So, and if you're not using a spell with him, his melee damage sucks. So he's kind of mid tier. Now, in the Pixel remaster, and I guess the original too, once you start getting items that cast spells like the mage's staff and stuff, it does become better because you could just cast those for free and not have to worry about your spell charges. But you don't get those spells till like 75% of the way. Well, those items, I should say, 75% of the way through the game. So he's kind of not as good. Same thing with the white mage. Only actually, white mage might even be worse, lower tier. Because unless you're facing undead, all the white mage can do is buff and heal. So not really much going for the white mage in this game, actually. I mean, the white mage does excel where it excels, where you're fighting like a boss and you need your buffs. It's gonna be good. But outside of that, same problems as the black mage. Only the black mage can do a lot more damage. Red mage, I will actually put in the upper tier because red mage could do both black and white magic. Um, but also supplements that with better equipment draws and better weapons. So use the attack command, it's much better. So yeah, Mage is not actually really good in the first game. Really balanced around melee fighters. Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. Now this looks like Garland to me. Garland is the big bad of the first game. His evil plan actually made 0 sense in the original game, and the origin story I guess they gave for him for Stranger of Paradise also makes 0 sense. So he is a goated tier. Um, he's trying to get rid of all these guys. He's going to knock them all down, and I really like his approach. So I will put him up there. Guess we'll move on to Final Fantasy 2 here. Just a moment. I actually need to get a drink. Ah, water's so good. Okay, so Furion, he's actually, I don't feel like the orphans from Final Fantasy 2 have a really strong story, and they're basically all the same. You can build them any way you want. So there's not really much difference. I would put, I guess I'd put them all in mid tier because they're all the same character, except like in the original Final Fantasy 2, and I didn't notice this in the Pixel remaster, but preemptive attacks are based off of Furion's agility, so that actually makes him better than all the other playable characters, I think. So I'll put him in upper tier because even while he's dead, he can ambush enemies. So yeah, that's actually he might be goated tier because of that. Yeah, if you can ambush enemies while you're dead, you're pretty strong. So yeah, that's a huge consideration there. Yeah, I think that would put him in the goated tier. No arguments for me for there. Also, Maria, she knows that bows are useless, so she uses them backwards, and so that sends a strong signal to the player to never use bows because bows will really kill your spell casting. They're awful. You cannot dual wield them. You can't use shields with them. So Maria knows all about the uselessness of bows. Also, she's gay, so we're gonna put her in the goated tier. Um, Guy here. Well, he can speak to beavers, so we'll put him in the upper tier. Leon. I think this is Leon. That's really weird. He doesn't even look like that. Um, he's useless most of the game. Shows up at the end. Is dual wielding for whatever reason an axe and a sword. Tries to take over the empire after the emperor dies because the rest of the guys kill him off, but he fails because the emperor comes back. He's pretty mid. Um, yeah, he wasn't that great. He didn't even know what he was doing in my party when I was playing the game. So not a great character actually. Minwu. He shows up at the beginning and he's a white mage. Comes with a lot of high level spells, so this is kind of like trying to experience an overpowered character, I guess, at the beginning of the game. He has a lot more MP than your characters do. He has better equipment. He's just all around better, and he can also use a Kamehameha. So I'll put him in the upper tier. He's pretty good. Unfortunately, he leaves the group real very early. So um, but yeah, he comes in clutch in the Tower of Mysidia with the Kamehameha. So I'll put him on the upper tier. Is this? No, I think this is Gordon over here. Is this supposed to be Scott? Scott doesn't really do anything, but he does face plant, and which is hilarious. And then he immediately dies after that. So I'll kind of put him in the lower tier because he's kind of useless, but he is good as a comic relief. So I'll put him there. Is this Yosef? Yosef. Um, hmm. Where he's mid tier. Fights with his bare hands. Has a snowmobile. Doesn't really last very long, actually. He's got like one of the shortest appearances in the game. So, yeah, he's just. I think he's there for like 2 dungeons, and they're not really long dungeons at all. But there's nothing really wrong with him. He's a good solid character, so I'll put him in mid tier. Layla also goated tier. I'll put her up there because of my head canon of her and Maria being together, and she's a pirate, so scissor me timbers. There we go, right there. And I believe this is Gordon. He's going to be our first dumpster fire. Gordon is absolutely useless. All he does is face plant. He's a terrible character. He whines and he hides, and that's all he does for the entire game. And then somehow he gets married to Hilda. There's no justice in the world of Final Fantasy II because stuff like that happens. Fuck Gordon. He's terrible. This is it Ricard? Ricard, yeah, he's the first dragoon. He's actually with the party for quite a while, and for a fourth party member, he's not actually bad. He's with you throughout the Tower of Mysidia, the Cyclone, and I think the Palamecian Palace. He's kind of mid tier. There's really nothing going. They don't actually make Dragoon a class until Final Fantasy 3, so he's just kind of there like Yosef and Leon. So he's mid tier. Oh, this is the Emperor. The Emperor. Okay, so um the Emperor is a complete asshole. He that's really all you can say about him. He's a complete asshole. He looks like David Bowie. When our heroes show up and kick his teeth in, he dies and goes down to hell, and then life has sent lemons his way, so he makes lemonade with it, and he takes over hell and becomes the big bad, and then starts invading with the monsters of hell. So yeah, he's goated tier. He's a pretty good villain. I like him. So yeah, we'll put him up there. So yeah, Final Fantasy 1 and 2 villains pretty good. For different reasons. Okay, Onion Kid mid tier, no personality, can be anything, just takes over any job. They're that's really all I can say about the Onion Kids. They put all the guys from the three, not the 3DS, the DS remake here, so they're all going into mid tier as well because I don't really care about their stories. They don't really add much to it, and they're just basically the same thing as the Onion Kid. Is it Onion Knight, Onion Kid? Who cares? Cloud of Darkness. Cloud of Darkness is a lower tier character. She's not a very good final boss like Garland and the Emperor. The whole reason that the Cloud of Darkness shows up is because Zondi was he was mauling over the fact that Noah turned him into a human, except he's kind of a vampire, and He wanted to try to destroy the world, and he was going to do it by summoning the Cloud of Darkness. And the Cloud of Darkness has no personality and is there at the end. That's all the Cloud of Darkness is. Um, not much to say about the Cloud of Darkness here. So I guess Final Fantasy 3. You didn't. I don't really have to say much about that because there's like it's just a dungeon crawler. That's all the game is. Pick your classes, go there. These characters don't even really matter. Final Fantasy 2 was the first one that actually had a story in it. Instead of they had stories in them, but Final Fantasy 2 had the best narrative of the NES games, hands down. Uh, Emperor's an asshole. Can't even say that the Cloud of Darkness is an asshole. Zonde's just up there trying to summon or it's the entire I don't know. But what even is a Cloud of Darkness? I'm just gonna move on to Final Fantasy 4. It's I like Final Fantasy 3. I think it's a great game, especially the Pixel remaster. That was like the best out of the entire package, and they made that game like you know that that version of the game is actually goaded. It's a great it's a great experience. I had a great time playing it the entire time, so I'll just go with that. But the characters in there not the best characterization and not the best story. So I guess I'll just move on to Final Fantasy 4. Cecil, they actually started to make their they started in Final Fantasy 3, but in Final Fantasy 4 they really started to evolve the character classes here. And Cecil has actually a pretty good story. He goes from being the bad guy to the champion of light. So I'm actually going to put him in upper tier. He has like the best cover command until Final Fantasy 7 when it just automatically covers for anybody, and as you level it up, it gets better. But Cecil, in 5 and 6, the cover got really toned down and it's really weak. So Cecil beats a lot of them. Kane's pretty mid. Um, he gets mind controlled and it's like, oh no, he's betrayed us, and is he really on our side? And then he comes back and then he helps out for a while. It's really strong up through the Rubicante fight, and then he just kind of tails off at the end of the game and is not a good character after that. And his entire character arc is done by that point, and he's just there. Rydia, goat tier, definitely goat tier. You can't. One of the best black mage summoners in the game completely claps Golbez's cheeks when she comes back, and he's like no match for her. She ambushes him, and he was about to completely end Cecil's group and claim victory, but she stopped him, and there was nothing he could do. Yeah, she goes from a PTSD kid after Cecil and Kane show up and destroy her village with the bomb ring to just being a complete badass. And yeah, you can't win the game without her. Like there's no argument to be made. She completely saves the group. Rosa as well. Best white mage, goat tier, best white mage in the entire series, in my opinion. She was the only one that they did right. She could heal, buff, and with her bow skills, unlike in Final Fantasy 2, where bows are useless, her bows and arrows are completely devastating. She actually can. She's a white mage that can actually do offense. So, yeah, pretty good. Pretty good there. I can't. There's no white mage I think that is actually better than Rosa at all. Period. They're end of story. Edward is the dumpster fire tier. This guy is terrible. All he does is mope. Then he gets crippled, and in battle he's completely useless. So there's nothing going for him at all. I'm guessing this is Palom and Porum. Hmm. I'll just put them in mid tier because there's really not they're just there for a little while, and then their character arc is pretty dumb. Actually, they turn themselves to stone, and then the elder's able to depetrify them when you couldn't. Not a fan of them. Um, Forum a little better because she just keeps bitch slapping Palom, and Palom is insufferable. I'd actually put him in the lower tier just because of that. Nah, he could stay there. Yong also mid tier. Really, just the same as a Final Fantasy 3 monk, and I don't think. Yeah, there's nothing really going for him. He's got a lot of HP, but his defense is bad, so it doesn't really help him out to the end. He can't do a lot of good damage, but um you know by the time he's able to do that damage, Cecil and Kane have caught up to him, and with their ice equipment and everything in those areas, he's just not. He kind of tails off at that point. Is this Edge? Edge is in the upper tier. Um, he's kind of he's cocky, but not in an insufferable way like Palom. But he's a really good character too in battle. So if you pick up your claws with him, and pick up like the Mage Masher and the boomerangs and stuff, he's gonna absolutely destroy the enemies with his damage output. So he's a really good character. I like his arc. He does get a little insufferable at the end, but uh, he's a good character. I'll give him that. Sid. What do I say about Sid? I can't put him in the upper tier, even though he straps dynamite to his face and blows himself up, and has some amazing YOLO strats. But he's pretty. He might even be lower tier, actually. Yeah, he's lower tier. He's kind of like a Viking from Final Fantasy 3, but he can't equip shields, so he has this big gaping hole in his defense. Even though he could do better damage, he has really good HP growth, but all he has going for him is the peep command, so he can read enemy HPs and he could hit them with hammers. And he's pretty one dimensional, actually. So yeah, lower tier is good, even though he's hilarious. Apparently unkillable. Tella, lower tier. Yeah, he's a pretty bad mage. That's all I can really say about him. He does engage in a fist fight with Edward, so I believe he wins that fist fight too. So he's better. He's actually better than Edward in battle because he's got actual useful spells, but he's got terrible stat growth. His HP, he can't get over 90 MP, so he can't. He's really limited in what he can cast too. So yeah, there's no justification for him to be over lower tier. He's actually terrible, to be honest. Fusoya, mid tier. He's just an upgraded Tella, so yeah, he's a mid tier. Although in the Pixel remaster, the regen ability is actually pretty good. Yeah, so that actually makes him better. Recall is terrible. It still costs him P. So Fusoya wins this one hands down. Unfortunately, he does have limited MP growth as well. He can't get over 190 unless you're pumping. Soma drops into him, so there's no way I could put him into the upper tier. Both of the other casters are way more useful than him. They have better stat growth, better MP growth, better equipment draws too. Although I think he can wear ribbons because everybody can wear ribbons, so they have that going for him. Golbez, mid, not a really good villain, to be honest. He's like, oh, I'm bad, I'm evil, but it turns out he's mind controlled, and I guess they didn't want to actually put Zemus in here because he's just a carbon copy of Zonde from 3. Practically, practically the same guy. You can't argue to me that they are not the same guy. We're going to Final Fantasy V. Okay. But every character in Final Fantasy V is more or less the same. They all have different base stats, but they can all be the same job. More or less, they're all going to be about the ballpark, similar damage and everything with everything they do. Butts is one of the better physical job guys, but it doesn't really matter in my mind. The game's still pretty easy, no matter how you slice it. So the only way I can actually rate Final Fantasy V characters is on their personalities and their character arcs and everything. And Butts' character arcs are pretty much his dad's character arcs, before he dies. So that coupled with the fact that his pet chicken told him to save the world, he's just kind of mid-tier. Plus, he's an awful sense of humor, so he's better than all these guys though. So he's got to be mid-tier. Lena, both Lena and Ferris, and actually all these guys I would put in the upper tier. They're better than Butts. They all have better character arcs. Oh, one more thing is that Butts can't even win in a fist fight against a 10-year-old. So Krill just completely bitch slaps him, and yeah, so he's in the mid tier. He's got to be the worst character of Final Fantasy V, and all these guys are the upper tier because they all have way better character arcs than Butts. Butts is just like the rival of Gilgamesh for some reason because he selected him, and it doesn't really matter. And the comic relief is just terrible. But yeah, now that I look at this, it's all like royalty and then Butts. Exdeath. Exdeath, I'll put in mid tier. He's kind of a dumb villain. He has so many opportunities to finish off the good guys, and he never takes it. He just goes Mwahaha, and then teleports away. So he's just a really Saturday morning cartoon villain. Such a shame. Final Fantasy V is still good on the gameplay, but Exdeath is just a dumb villain. Gilgamesh, I don't know. I'll put him in the lower tier. I don't really care about Gilgamesh. He's supposed to be the comic relief. I have to hydrate after talking for so long. Yeah, he's just the comic relief, and he's a bad guy. He gets banished to the rift after Exdeath decides he's failed to kill the good guys for the last time. He's like, "You failed me for the last time," and he sends him to the rift. But Exdeath kind of just doesn't really succeed either. So I don't know what his problem with Gilgamesh was. Final Fantasy VI. Terra, S tier. Great character arc. Lover. Overpowered too. Locke, he kind of suffers in Final Fantasy VI. He's still a great character. I like his characterization, but is not as good as some of the other characters, and he's just kind of like too attached to his dead girlfriend. Actually, that's enough for me to demote him to mid tier. He's like, come on, bro, move on. She died 5 years ago, and this guy was stuck trying to resurrect her the entire time. So he left her body with the creepy guy in that one town, and Don't know what to say about that. So yeah, I'll demote him to mid tier. Edgar. Hmm. Edgar's kind of annoying. I'll put him in lower tier. To be honest, he is good in battle and everything, but he tries to hit on everything that moves, and he has some bad moments with that. Saban, on the other hand, how do I want to rate him? Um, his equipment draws are actually pretty bad, but that's offset by the fact that, see, he's supposed to be the monk in this game, but since everybody in 6 has the same HP growth, it doesn't really help him. But he does offset his bad equipment draws with his blitz commands, which are some of the best damage in the game. Two of them, well, one of them is completely useless. If you're going to use Soul Spiral, if you're just going to remove Saban from the battle, um, I will put him in mid tier just because his equipment draws are just that bad. Everybody else in Final Fantasy VI just has this amazingly overpowered broken equipment, and then there's Saban. He kind of got the short end of the stick there. Got the shaft, man. Cayenne, on the other hand, amazing equipment draws. He can actually in 6 Pixel Remaster they made him actually usable, and he has a great character arc. Uh, I will put him in the upper tier. I don't think he's actually goaded. I do like him. I've always liked Cayenne because he was always cool to me as a kid. Unfortunately, in the original game, his Bushido command is really bad, so he kind of suffers there. He's really slow because he's old. His stats are not the greatest, but that can be mitigated with Espers. But he's got a great character arc and everything, and he was much fixed in the Pixel remaster. Celis also goated tier. Great character. Love her story. These two are like probably the strongest. I don't think anybody else in Final Fantasy VI is gonna. Well, never mind. I just looked down here and I'm like, yeah, somebody else is gonna get to the goat tier. But yeah, these are like the two best. She's got she starts out in the Empire as the bad guy, kind of like Cecil does. Is like, man, this is really fucked up. I'm switching sides. Um, Kefka tries to make her out to be a double agent that was spying on him, but she was always on. She always switched sides and was going to be one of the good guys. Opera scene, fantastic. Getting over the end of the world was fantastic. She becomes Captain America and gets the Avengers back together. So yeah, incredible character. Um, hmm. What am I going to say about Setzer? He's actually probably the worst character in Final Fantasy VI. I'll put him in lower tier. Um, yeah, it's you really got to study the slots and know how to get good in it. And I think they actually removed how it works in the like the original way to rig it in the Pixel remaster doesn't work anymore. You have to use the pause trick and really get the timing down and everything. And also, if you're using auto battle, he'll just kill you off. He'll kill everybody off. So, um, yeah, he's not a good character, and his backstory is just, oh, my dead friend, she had an airship, so yeah, now we have an airship. Yeah, he's not the best character. Also, he tries to kidnap people and force them to marry him. So, like, how's he get away with this stuff? Um, Realm, um, actually, I'm gonna put Realm, Shadow, and Interceptor up here in the upper tiers because all of their stories, and I guess Strago as well, because all of their stories are together, um, and they have this great dynamic, even though they don't know that Shadow is Realm's father, and Realm kind of gets over that, but Interceptor, actually, Interceptor is goaded because he eats strangers and he likes Realm and everything. So yeah, we're gonna put him up there. He's better than the rest of them. So yeah, I lied. Kefka, great, hilarious, not goaded though. I feel like there's kind of something missing here because when you get to the world of ruin, his characterization just falls off. He's just the bad guy in the tower that starts shooting people that disagree with him, and he's just he's irredeemably bad. But you know what? I'll put him in goated tier. Never mind. He's good too because he's like the emperor. He went down to hell and took it over. Kefka took over the world too. So both of these guys are winners in my book. Mog, mid tier. He doesn't have much characterization at all. He's just an extra character. Um, kind of fall. His dance is really good in the world of balance, but he falls off in the world of ruin, and yet you're almost forced to turn him into a dragoon. And then he's only really good if you give him the holy lance, and only on select enemies that are weak to holy. So then when you get the chance to give him the dragon horn, but this stuff is all so late in the game that he doesn't really he just kind of balances out to be an average character by the end. I know in my playthrough of the Pixel remaster, he completely wrecked. Was it Fiend? I believe he just completely wrecked his face with the continuous jump. But outside of that, he didn't really shine that well. Gao also goaded, was tossed out on the veldt, made the best of everything, and is an absolute beast in battle. Um, they find his father, but his father is too far gone, lost his mind, is senile, and Gal's like, yeah, whatever. I don't need him anywhere. I still got you as my friends. So yeah, the power of friendship reigns supreme with Gal, and he's just an absolute monster in battle. I've always loved him ever since my friend told me about the Stray Cat Rage when I was like 12. So Gal, great. Goko, Gogo's mid. He's better than Edgar and Setzer. Actually, I'll put him down lower. He doesn't have much characterization, so yeah. Same with Umaro. He's just a berserker that you can berserk, and he likes to really be berserk, but he's really one dimensional. Doesn't have much story to him. He just joins because Mog tells him to. Ultros. What? Ultros. Dumpster fire. There's he's just supposed to be the comic relief, like Gilgamesh. Actually, I'll just put him in lower tier. He doesn't deserve to be down here with the absolute trash. He's just the comic relief. He doesn't really do anything noteworthy, actually. So he's just annoying, really. Um, oh, Final Fantasy VII. I guess before I get into this, I'm just gonna have to say that I do not like the character designs in Final Fantasy VII. I like dislike every single character design in the game for every character. Still though, I recognize that some of these characters are great. Like Cloud, he's goaded. Was is kind of really risque because Final Fantasy VII, I think Final Fantasy sixes and seven were the darkest that the series ever went, and they explored a lot of themes that I don't think you can get away with now. Cloud is a mentally ill guy, so and the game is actually a psychological horror, so it like I think they're going to change a lot of things about in the seven remake, which I didn't like. I don't like the seven remake because I find the battle system to just be a slog and a chore to go through, and that's one of the reasons I didn't like it. And especially when you're doing boss battles, um, one of the things they'll do there is like, okay, you got to get the stagger gauge up to break the boss and to do massive damage, and unfortunately, I don't want to make this a huge complaint about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Unfortunately, once you do that and you hit the enemy with the massive damage, there's an HP threshold it'll hit, that once you hit that, it'll go into a cutscene, and then it'll completely reset all that stuff, so that you lose out on the rest of the time that you would have in the stagger gauge. So I didn't like that. However, there were points in the story I liked, like the Honeybee Inn. That was fantastic, and I really like the story and stuff and everything, except for all the ghost stuff. I think if they would have done a one for one remake in the story, it would just be great. You don't really need to change the story to seven. It doesn't need to be changed. What do I say about Aerith? I will put her in the upper tier. She's not as good as Cloud is, and as some of the other characters. Still pretty good. She's willing to make that sacrifice to save the planet, but outside of that, I don't really like her, to be honest. She's too perfect, if you will. Barrett, also upper tier. Um, Lived in a coal mining town, and the town burnt down because the company that was going to replace it, Shinra with the Mako power, decided to burn the town down, and they were just complete assholes. So he decided to make an eco something group, and go after them, and get revengeance upon them. So yeah, actually got he's better characterized in the Japanese version, because the guy who did the translation for the US version was an idiot. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is Mr. T. I just need to make all these black stereotypes about him." But he's more thoughtful than, where he just says shit, with an apostrophe and T. Like, they really butchered his character when they brought him over here. Tifa is actually going up here as well. She's a great character. As far as I'm concerned, she's the better of these two. Um, whereas Aerith is just perfect or whatever, Little Miss Perfect, and that's why Cloud likes her or whatever. They were truly trying to push this ship in the original, but Tifa really stuck by this guy even when he was having a mental breakdown and everything, and helped him through it. So, no, I really liked her. A great character arcs there. Red 13. I feel like there is a lot lost in translation, and maybe they could improve on him in the remake, but he's kind of just mid tier, because they don't do a lot with this guy in the original game. You get up to Cosmo Canyon, and that's basically the end of his arc. There's no more story for him. Period. That's just the end of it. Like, okay, I did like his story, but it just ends too soon for him. Um, Cat shit here is not an actual puppet. He is going to. I'll put him in mid tier. This is actually a Shinra guy that turned double agent and is actually working against his own interests. So kind of like him, even though he has this goofy. Well, they're actually toys that he's mind controlling from Shinra Tower. So I'll give him mid tier. He doesn't have a whole lot of characterization. Like, his biggest moment is just being like, "Yo, Barrett, you're an asshole for killing all these people," and Barrett's like, "Oh yeah, I know that." Sid, um, Sid's actually kind of an asshole. I'm putting him in lower tier. He actually, uh, in any other game, he would be one of the bad guys. So yeah, I'm gonna put him down there. Whole story of him wanting to go to space is cool and all, but he is just an absolute asshole to his. I don't know what relation she is, but I don't know his assistant or whatever. Oh man, he's just way over the top with that. Vincent seems like somebody they had a lot of cool story to go about, but it was cut out. So I will put him in the lower tier. He's actually also awful in battle. His limit breaks are terrible. Um, Not much going for him. Yuffie I'll put in the mid tier. Actually, no, she belongs in the upper tier, because She has some good things that she could do that other characters can't do, like with her final weapon. She could transform enemies into things, and her arc is actually doable at any time. So even though she's an optional character, I don't think she's going to be optional in the remake. Actually, no, she is actually optional because they actually just tacked that on as DLC. We'll have to see what the next episode. Sephiroth. He's an upper tier. He doesn't destroy the world, even though he comes close. He came oh so close. He's mad. He's just really really mad. That's his thing. Zach doesn't really get much. I haven't played Crisis Core or these other expansions, so I don't really know much about Zach. I'll put him in mid tier. In the OG game, there's just a few scenes you can see with him. He saves Cloud from Nibelheim and dies happily ever after. Rufus is a complete asshole, so I'll put him up in the upper tier. Yeah, the entire Shinra family, actual assholes. Great villains, I will say. Actually, I'll put him up here. Yeah, he's a great villain. Completely unrelenting asshole, doesn't care, is going to destroy the planet by sucking out all the life force. And if this dude didn't get in his way because he's really really angry, he would have eventually done it. Okay, so we're down to Final Fantasy VIII. Oh boy. Oh man, this is my least favorite Final Fantasy. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the Squall. He is a complete idiot. He's also an asshole. I'll put him in lower tier. He also falls for Rinoa, which is just like one of the dumbest moves anybody could ever make in the history of ever. So yeah, he's lower tier. Rinoa, dumpster fire. Um, she has like no redeeming quality. She's super stupid. She's naive. She almost gets the group killed on multiple occasions. She gets possessed by Ultimisia. Was dating Cypher before the events of the game, and then somehow cons Squall into dating her. I oh man, she's like they really tried to go with this stupid theme of, oh, isn't this cool that Squall's dad had this thing for Renoa's mother in the past, and they're both getting together. It's like some kind of fate, blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. I almost wish that Laguna had gotten the girl at the end just to prevent this game from happening. Because everybody thinks that the parts that Laguna is in are the best parts of the game anyway. So yeah, Rinoa is a complete dumpster fire. Squall's an idiot. The love story is completely cringe. Oh man, yeah, these two characters completely wreck the game. I don't know why they decided Squall was supposed to be the leader, because he's just an idiot. He makes bad life choices. Like right here, bad life choices. He shouldn't be the leader of anything. Zell, why is he even in the game? I will put him in the lower tier. He's not as bad as Rinoa. Actually, I think that's enough to demote Squall down into the. I don't know. These guys are all strong dumpster fires. Like they're just raging like 20 feet tall. So I no, he's not that bad, but he's pretty bad because he makes terrible decisions. I don't see what anybody saw in this dude. Selphie. She seems like the kind of person that just trolls message boards and posts memes all the time. So I'll put her in the upper tier. Her limit break can also kill Omega Weapon and I believe the final boss as well. So she's pretty good. I will say the same about Keistis. She's pretty good as well. Unfortunately, I would put her in the goated tier, but unfortunately, she is pretty dumb because she was attracted to Squall, so that's going to deduct a few points from her, so she can't be in the goated tier. Um, she is a blue mage, and blue mage is one of my favorite classes in all the Final Fantasies. But if not for this, I would put her up here. Irvin's kind of mid. Um, there's I can't really say anything good or bad about him. He's just kind of there. Uh, Not really doing anything bad or doing anything terrible. So yeah, not doing anything good or bad. He's just there. Not he's not offensive. So I'll put him up there. Cipher goes up in the goated tier. It's absolutely hilarious. He was dating Renoa before the events of the game, and he realized this was a huge error, so he dumped her. And he doesn't respect any of the rules. He knows the game he's in, is a complete joke. He made fun of Zell. He called him a chicken wuss. He goes and decides to be the sorceress knight because he's just like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I'll put him in the goated tier. He also cuts Odin in half, so there's nothing wrong with this character. This is the one sane character in the entire game, so nothing wrong with him. Laguna, this guy's also going in the goated tier. No. He failed to get with Renoa's mother to prevent her existence, so I'm going to have to demote him one tier, and that's my complete reasoning why he has failed us all. He made a terrible mistake. His cowardice has cost us everything, so he's going down into the upper tier. But outside of that, he has some pretty impressive feats. He like stopped all these invasions. He killed a dragon by himself. He became the president of Esther, and he's just like he has all these great adventures. Much better than the rest of them. So unfortunately, he does make a critical error, which leaves us with Final Fantasy VIII story. So um, you would be up here if not for that, man. Idea, pretty mid. I don't have much to say about her. There's really not much to say. Fake villain, fake out, and then they don't give her much characterization other than she's the wife of the dude that founded Garden or whatever. Um, Ultimecia. Oh yeah, I was definitely muted. So I don't know why I did that. Was I muted for like the entirety of this? How long have you been here, Maelstrom? Actually, I think I just muted a few seconds ago and then I forgot about it. Yeah, so I was just talking about this and I was saying yeah, that these guys are kind of disappointing to me because they're supposed to be the heavy armor guys and yeah. This isn't as bad. At least you caught this for me because I wasn't paying attention. I didn't see that it was flashing muted, and I'm like, oh man. But yeah, they kind of have Zidane flipping this because Zidane's supposed to be the thief, and these two kind of lose out until the end of the game, where they actually give them good weapons and armor that actually outclass Zidane's, except for his weapons better. So, and I don't really like their character arcs. Steiner's kind of a joke character, and Freya's just like, oh, there was some other dude out there, and where is he? Where is he? I'm sad. So I don't have much to say about that. Um, Kuina, I'll put Kuina in the lower tier as well. Kuina doesn't really have. Oh, I'm gonna make you rage then. Okay, Kuina doesn't have much characterization either. Kuina can eat people. So maybe mid tier actually because you can eat people, so that's a little better. Um, but not really good characterization. Nothing. Not like the Final Fantasy 9 characters really do nothing for me. I was not the biggest fan of this game. It kind of inverts a lot of things, especially these guys are heavy armor, um, but Zidon's better. I don't know why they were included in the game then. Uh, Aiko, I believe, is actually a better summoner and better character than Garnet, so I'll put her in mid tier. Actually, better white mage and better summoner, I think. I think at least until Garnet gets Bahamut. Am I misremembering this? Oh man, you should have been here for when I was doing FF8 then. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on YouTube anyway, so you can probably go back and watch it after it gets exported over there. But I made some solid cases, unless I had it muted. But you know what, Final Fantasy X is coming up, so I'm gonna have some interesting things to say about that as well. Um, I actually like Amarant. He's actually a pretty good character, in my opinion. His whole solo badass guy thing isn't the greatest, but in battle he's cool. He also has a great character design. So I love this guy. I use him every time I play this game. Uh, this guy's an idiot. I'm putting him in lower tier. Yeah. I don't like him. Kujo is an idiot. He was not a very effective villain in my opinion. He just kind of mopes and whines and then destroys everything. Beatrix, I'll put mid tier. I don't actually understand why everybody likes Beatrix. She doesn't receive much characterization in this game, and like I think if you were able to actually get her in your party, other than and actually got rid of this guy too, and had her instead, that instead of having her just a select few battles, that I probably would have improved my opinion. But she's not a joke character like this idiot. So I'll put her in mid tier. She gains a few points for that, and apparently is more of a badass. uh, did they ever say if she actually lost an eye or if she's just wearing the eye patch because of Rule of Cool? I can't remember. Let me take a drink while I'm waiting for an answer. Well, who cares? I'm just gonna move on to Final Fantasy X. Okay, so looks like we're getting close to the end. um, let's see, Tidus. Tidus is mid tier. He's kind of whiny. He's not that actually great of a character until the end of the game when you could actually unlock like Haska and stuff. And most of the time he's just whining. He's like, "Oh, Jecht, you were such an asshole." But in my opinion, it's kind of undeserved because Jecht was actually a good guy, and he's just like, "Man, Jecht, you're just an asshole. I'm gonna whine about everything." And everybody in the world he's in that he gets isekai into is like, "Man, Jecht is a living legend," and he's like, he's not so great." You had to watch The Matrix 8 times. Well, that's not an awful thing, it's watching The Matrix, so it's not like you're having a bad time watching that. Unfortunately, they made sequels and then they just made a reboot. I guess I haven't gone and watched it. I probably won't watch it because there was no reason to make any movies beyond The Matrix. It was a masterpiece, and everything else was just trying to make it into a cash cow. But yeah, this guy, until the end of the game when he actually decides, oh, let's go get Sin and end the cycle of everybody dying and everything. He's not that cool. Oh man, I love The Matrix when it came out. Actually, I don't think I watched it until maybe 2000. When it came out in like 97 or 98, and I didn't watch it when it came out. I think I watched when I was watching on the TV. The trailers came on when I came home from school or something. I was like, I think I completely got a different idea of what the Matrix was going to be. It was just going to be like some kind of show where they fought, and that Morpheus thought he was the one that he was going to take everybody's power or something, kind of like some Highlander bullshit. And that's what I thought it was. They were just fighting for supremacy. And then I watched the movie. And I was like, oh, this was completely different than what I thought it was going to be. Laughing Tidus. I don't know why this is on here. They didn't put Laughing Yuna on here. Can I just delete this? Like that's just a joke. Come on, man. I'll put Yuna in the upper tier because I made cases for Rosa being a goated white mage because she could actually do damage unlike other white mages, and the only reason that Yuna is able to do damage and anything is because of her summons. Rosa is actually using melee weapons to make up that. Yeah, Laughing Tidus is a separate character. He's like, ah ha 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 ha. That scene makes me laugh every time I come up to it. Like I can't help it. Everybody in the modding community, there's this one guy in the modding community that's trying to make all these mods that are like music mods for the games. Like they're gonna do the battle theme, and the battle theme is actually just different haws from Tidus. It's actually kind of funny, but I you can't put Laughing Tidus there. That's just it's just a joke, man. That scene wasn't meant to be taken seriously. But yeah, let's go back to Yuna. Unlike so both of these characters are living in the shadows of their fathers, who everybody thinks is a living legend because they stopped Sin. But I think that Yuna takes it a lot better than Tidus does, because Tidus just whines and moans, and Yuna's like, will I ever be able to live up to that bar that my father set? Because she's trying to do that same mission that he's doing because Sin has come back because they don't know the whole thing behind it, and they think that the only way to stop it is to just go in there and get the final summoning, and they don't know the whole thing behind it. So she's just walking towards her death, and Titus is all out there going ah ha 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 ha. I hate Jack. Anyway, yeah, I think she's a better character than Titus. I don't think there's a main character. I think they're both the main character because this is actually kind of her story, and he's just there because he got summoned from the dream world, and he's just kind of a whiny kid about it. She's handled so much better, even though the voice acting in the game is kind of not the best. But I blame that on them trying to match the lip flaps to the characters because this is like, other than like Metal Gear Solid and a few PlayStation games, this is Metal Gear Solid because I shouldn't use Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid really didn't have the lip flap issues that they had with Final Fantasy X. Metal Gear Solid was kind of cheating because they were just animated portraits, so they kind of had the lip flaps from anime to go on, so it was done a lot better. But this was the first one that one of the first ones that they kind of used 3D models. I don't know if they had any others from like the PlayStation 1 era that tried to do that. I'm not. I'm kind of drawing blanks. I know they used voices in like games like Legend of Legaia and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but they didn't move the lip flaps in either of those games. Auron, I'll put him in upper tier. Yeah, he's a pretty good character. His arc is pretty cool. He has that whole Omaewa Moshindaro thing going for him, but nobody knows that he's dead. So, not much to say about him because he did his mission and then came back and did it again. So, it's kind of ballsy to do the same mission twice when you know that the end of the mission is going to be this dude's going to die. So, he traveled around with Braska and Jack, and that was pretty cool. Lulu. I'll put Lulu in mid tier. She doesn't really receive a good character arc, to be honest. Yeah, who cares if you're gonna die if you're already dead? Actually, can he die if he's already dead? Actually, I should make a point. Like if you have So Auron is already dead. Okay, so he's one of the unsent, but you could still kill him with the death spell, and you could still turn him into a zombie and still use death sentence on him. So, don't you think he should have had like status immunities to them just because he's dead? They kind of there's some other games in the other series that like Final Fantasy V, the one boss in the canal doesn't attack women, so it won't attack Lena or Ferris. And if you're kind of clever, if you catch on to that, you could kind of divine that Ferris is actually a woman before they actually say that in game, just off that one clue. I'm gonna send you to the other dimension where you can live a retired life. Wakka. I know a lot of people hate Wakka because he starts out as a devout Yevonite and is a racist, but he actually comes around and does a 180 on all of that once he's able to reason it out, because it takes him a long time because he's a devout believer in the faith. And when he finds out, all this shit is false, it takes him a while to just come to grips with that. And he throughout most of the game, he's kind of an asshole because of everything that he believes in. Like he learned that from like childhood. He's like, yeah, this is the way it is. And like, unlike the rest of everybody who's just like Lulu knows because her first summon. Yeah, he's a zealot. That's what he is. He fully believes in the religion, and when he hears it from basically the Pope in that religion's right from his mouth that everything is just it's a false religion and nobody's going to heaven or whatever. He's like, even at that point, he's like, but yeah, maybe still. It still takes him like a long time, and he's still an asshole to the all bed like Riku. And uh, you know what? I'm gonna put him in upper tier, and I know this is gonna piss off a lot of people because of his straight up racism and everything. But the fact that he's able to come around on that makes him a really good character. He's not Gordon, he's not Edward, he's not Renoa, and Ultimecia made dumpster tier because she was defeated by Squall and Renoa, and there's no coming back from that. Kimari, yeah, he has this redemption arc and totally turns everything around. So I think he gets a lot of unfair flack. I mean, he does deserve the flack, but he's not a dumpster tier character. Kimari, I will put in lower. His arc is not that great, to be honest. Yeah, Squall, like, not only did he do that, he became one for Renoa, and that's a terrible idea. That should disqualify him from leadership. Period. Like Keistis was interested in him, and he turned her down. He's like, you know what? Get the fuck out of here. I don't have time for you. And then he's like, oh, you know what, Renoa. That's where I'm gonna go. Who was I just? Yeah, Kimari. He's actually a really good character. He's one of the stronger ones if you really go into his build. And like what I usually do is take him down Riku's path to, because he doesn't really, his path is just really small and just learns a few things, and then you get like a level 1 key sphere and you're able to send him down any of the paths you want. But what I usually do is send him down Riku's path to get her ability and build that. But he's also easy to screw up. Yeah, he picked Renoa over Keistis. Yeah, Keistis is actual leadership material. That scene in the beginning of the game when they're going right after Edea because they think that she's the big bad and they got to vanquish her, and because of Renoa being an idiot, she gets them locked in that room. Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, Mix is her limit break. So no. Use is a completely overpowered ability, and that's what makes Riku great. So I usually take a Kimari down there to pick up Use because Use gets a lot of utility. All the buffs you can use with that, all the attacks and the healing and everything. Like there's no other ability that is as great. Like Use is probably the best ability in the game, to be honest. That's I really can't find an argument against Use. It's just so it is that great. So, but he's also easy to fuck up because a lot of people don't know what they were doing with Kimari, and his character arc is basically just him staring down the other two Ronzo that are trying to bully him the whole time, and then they fight at the end. Okay. I mean, Riku really likes to steal stuff, though. She pockets like 8 things at once. So, Riku, I am going to put in the goated tier just because of the reasons I was talking about. She kind of illuminates everything to this idiot, and he has to come around because he's got an all bed in the party, and Use is just a great ability. This girl has got the best ability of the game. If you do a challenge run where you're only allowing them to do only what's in their part of the sphere grid, she has hands down got the best ability. It gives her offense, it gives her defense. a whole bunch of utility things like haste, etc., and you get the all bed potions from it. And if you put something like I don't remember what the ability is called on her armor that doubles the healing potion, kind of like the alchemist ability from Final Fantasy V. She's hands down the best healer in the game. Just off of that, the all bed potions and everything. I don't think Yuna could even keep up with her, just because all bed potions are multi-target, and most everything else in this game is not multi-target. So yeah, I would put her up in the goated tier. Especially, you know what? There's also another thing that puts her in the goated tier because you don't have the customization ability until she joins your party. So she's hands down the best character in the game. Jecht. He's also going up in the goated tier. Jecht is hilarious. Even though you don't get to play as him, he mercilessly makes fun of Tidus. He makes him cry. He is a star blitzball player. He has a wife and child, so he's a family man. And one day, he just disappeared, and nobody knows what's happened to him. And they're like, man, this guy was the best blitzball player ever. And because he disappeared, his wife was so forlorn that she just ended her existence as well. Because it was Jecht. He's the best guy ever. And then he goes into another world and becomes a living legend there. So yeah, that tells you that he's goated. And even when Tidus shows up at the end to kill him, he still makes fun of him. So you can't go wrong with Jecht. He is definitely the best, and Tidus can't do it. So yeah. On the opposite end, Seymour, however, is he's just annoying. I don't like him. He just keeps showing up like a creepy stalker, and he has this obsession with Yuna. But he's just really, really goddamn annoying, and I can't stand him. They try to make him out to be a bad guy, but he's not as effective as these other bad guys on this list. There is no way he's got a higher body count than this dude. This dude went down to hell. This guy is just an asshole, and he goes around and he kills everybody that gets in his way. He doesn't care when the good guys show up and actually kill him. He goes to hell because he's an asshole, and then he takes over hell. Like, come on, Seymour couldn't even take over the what do they call that place in Final Fantasy X? Because the good guys actually catch up to this guy, and the far plane, that's what it's called. He doesn't take over the far plane. So yeah, he's not as Jecht. Oh yeah, he's a okay. I thought you were talking about Seymour here. Yeah. Okay, so you can make you can make the both the savior and the scourge of the world. So yeah, Jecht has that going for him. Well, I don't blame him, man. I don't blame him. Okay, so, but he's still annoying, and he didn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. I'm gonna put her in lower tier. Final Fantasy X-2's story is just a joke. I think it's got some fun gameplay and everything, but it's just the story's just dumb, and I don't know how else to put it. And basically, every character is the same in it anyway. So, I mean, I would put her at mid tier because of that, but just based off the story, I'm not going to include the story. She has no story. Haven't played the FFs after 10. I would not. Oh, you're just gonna check out. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. I don't know what the hell this thing is. What in the world? What in the world? What am I planning? I think I might do that that guide that you were talking about, a guide on my builds for the Final Fantasy VI characters at the end. But I'm kind of done with Final Fantasy VI. I actually recorded the last couple of episodes to put up desperation attacks and everything, and I'm probably going to go back into Saga Frontier Remaster to do Blue Story after that, and then do Chrono Trigger after that, because I'm going to kind of alternate on Saga Frontier so I don't get burnt out on it. I don't want to. Yeah, I got the limit breaks to work. It wasn't that hard except for Strago. Strago was an asshole. I don't know what went on there. It took me like 10 minutes average for every other character, but for Strago, it took like an hour and a half to get him to do it. And then I had to do it again because I didn't get the animation to go off, because his is an instant death attack. And when I got him to actually use it, the enemy he used it on was immune to instant death. And unfortunately, it doesn't call up the animation when he uses on an enemy that is immune to instant death. So I had to do it again. And I don't know if it was another bug with that game that, like, because the probability is supposed to be 1 in 16th, but his was so low. I think that maybe it is a bug because I had him in the back row and everybody else was in the front row, that it cuts it down to 1 in 32 because he's in the back row. And I don't understand why that would happen, but I don't understand a lot of the bugs in that game. I wish they'd fix some of the bugs in like 2 and 5, because they've already fixed a mountain of bugs in 6, and 2 and 5 need some attention. But yeah, that should come up in a couple days. We'll see. I don't know. I might go back to Halo Wars on Saturdays again, or what I'm going to do from there. I was going to play through Chrono Cross, but when I'm looking at it right now, it looks kind of garbage tier, the remastered version. I'm seeing a lot of things out of it that I don't like. And then I'm like, oh, I'm delusional enough to believe that they're going to do a Xenogears remaster or remake. But now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't wish for that, because, you know, they kind of, like, with the pixel remasters, they only really did a good job on the third one. Like, there's nothing wrong with that game as far as I could tell, and they actually improved upon it. So that was the best one out of the package. But like, 2 has a game breaking bug in it, and 5 has a couple bugs that aren't cool, and 6 had a mountain of bugs. So I don't know, man. Like, I read that they're going to bring out a tactics remaster, which I'm definitely gonna play that, but I'm kind of like, oh man, is it going to be as buggy as the pixel remasters when it releases? I do want to play through Chrono Cross though, but I'm going to play through Chrono Trigger to refresh my memory, because I haven't played that in a couple years, and I want to play through that because I haven't played through it before. And there's a couple other games. I'm probably going to get to Dragon Quest at some point as well, even though the first one's probably going to make me tear my hair out, because it's not actually a good experience. But yeah, I just wanted to do a tier list. I wanted to do this tier list on the Final Fantasy characters, because I find I find it a little interesting, because I've done this, and I played all of these games actually, and just wanted to give my thoughts. I think these tier lists are kind of fun, actually, unless you're doing like something stupid and vapid like fast food restaurants. Yeah, I played through 15. My experience is probably different than like my friend's experience, because he bought it on the PC and I bought it at launch when it came out on the PS4. So yeah, I think they're actually a completely different game now, to be honest. It's a shame that you don't want to listen to the rest of this because you haven't played these games. But yeah, I guess I am kind of dropping a lot of spoilers here, talking about their character arcs. 15 was a mediocre game. They should not have made it an open world game, because they spent so much time making all these areas that were vast and empty, instead of focusing on the narrative and everything. like this character right here really suffered from it. So, yeah, I guess I should get back on this because actually, Final Fantasy 12. I don't know what the fuck this thing is. Final Fantasy 12 is my favorite 3D version of the game, so I'm gonna go in here, even though um, Vaughn and Pinello are not actually good characters. They don't have good characterization in this game. They fall off like halfway through the game, and there's not much story to tell about them at all. So I'm actually going to put them in lower tier. I don't know why they decided to start them off, other than they just needed a Bishonen character to um yeah, it's not, they're not the main characters. Every other character in this game has a stronger story arc. I'll put these two in the mid tier. They have character arcs and everything, but I don't think they're the strongest character arcs. But yeah, these are the two main characters of the game, and they receive the most characterization out of any character in Final Fantasy 12. These are like both years, like I'm the leading man or whatever, but he's not. He's just a supporting character. These are the leads, and she's his companion, but they both have stronger character arcs throughout the entire game than actually both years is a little better than Fran, but these two lower tier. These two are goated tier in my opinion. Absolutely incredible characters, strong characters, and the entire game is about their story anyway. So, I have like no complaints about them whatsoever. So I guess yeah, I'm gonna move on to Final Fantasy 13 because this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be interesting. Okay, Lightning in the upper tier. She is the only character in the game that moves the story along at all. She's like, I've got this goal. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna do this. And she's a pretty effective character for, and like the leader of the group anyway. So if anybody's gonna be the leader, it should be Lightning anyway. Everybody else is just kind of there and just following her. Um, where do I put this guy? Oh, mm. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so I'm debating mid or lower tier. This guy, in my opinion, is the comic relief of the game because he is just so dumb. He thinks he's the hero. He's like, oh, I'm the hero of everything, but he just walks around, gets everybody killed. Well, he's just so delightfully stupid that he's like too stupid to die himself. I'm gonna put him in mid tier just because of how entertaining he is. Like almost every scene, it's him debating Lightning and like, let's go do this, and then Lightning punches him in the face and is like, no, we're not doing that. And then she doesn't stop and she just punches him in the face again for good measure. And he's like, well, what'd you do that for? And she's like, you were trying to marry my sister, and she hates him for this. So, and then it's not only Lightning. He just gets blown out by other dudes too because he falls for their traps and everything. So, oh man, he's hilarious in my opinion. Oh, what do I do with Vanilla? Okay, so Vanille, huh? It's hard to say anything good about her. Most of the game is actually her fault, and I don't know. Like, I think it's a debatable point whether her or Kefka are more insane. Um, Actually, going through and listening to her dialogue, like most of everything she says is just a non sequitur, and she's like, And another thing is that they tried to make her the sexy character, so like everything she does is sexy, and but everything's her fault, and she's just completely insane at that. So yeah, I'm not sure. She may be more insane than Kefka. So um, unfortunately, she's on the good guys team. So okay, this guy dumpster fire. He's awful. Most of his characterization is, "Wah, Snow killed my mom," even though he didn't, and he's like, "I'm gonna get revengeance upon him. So I'm gonna carry this knife and try to stab him in the back when he's least expecting it. And I hate you, Snow." And that's all he does like throughout the entire game until the like chapter whatever when you're able to actually start exploring. I'll actually put Saws up in upper tier too. He's got a son. He's a family man, so he wants to do this to save his son or whatever. And he's actually got some good characterization because he's like, man, this chick is fucking insane. I should probably shoot her, but it's not worth it. So, uh, yeah, he's a much better character than this lunatic. And yeah, these two have a lot of good characterization. Fang also lower tier, even though she's actually a lot more useful, but she's also a lesbian with Vanille, so kind of like a Squall having romantic interest with Renoa. That is a terrible life choice, and I don't know why she would do that. That's like this character is completely insane and would destroy the world like this dude. And the only reason that this is stopped is because I don't. I actually don't know. I don't know. I'll put these guys in the lower tier. The story to Final Fantasy 13 2 is a complete joke. I can't take it seriously. So like the characterization you would get off of these two, like one of the biggest plot twists in this game, and I'm not sure if I even understood this, was them going up an elevator, and the plot twist is that the elevator goes up, and it can only go up. And I just kind of was like, my eyes glazed over, and I was like, "What did they just say? That was a plot twist?" So yeah, everything in that game is just you can't even listen to it. It is fun gameplay to play. It's an improvement on the original 13. They improved, but the story is just like dumb. Um, Final Fantasy 15. So this actually suffered a lot. I'm actually going to put all of these guys in upper tier. The bromance was real, and I liked it, but the game itself suffered from the development hell that it went through for like 10 years, and it came out as kind of it was a garbled mess, but the bonds between all these guys, it was amazing. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put her in lower tier because they completely butchered her, and you don't really get to see anything from her. There's a lot of things that they could have done in this game, like um yeah, you don't really get to see her, and then she shows up to empower this guy to godlike levels, and then immediately dies after that, and not strong characterization. Um, and then she just gets tossed into the fridge for whatever reason. They didn't really do a good job on this game. It was kind of mediocre and kind of a disappointment. I really hope I really wanted to play this game. Like I wish they had gone with the original vision where you started off in the Imperial invasion in the town. Like I actually played this at launch, and it also had a terrible final dungeon, kind of like Final Fantasy VII. So unfortunate, but I think if I played it now with all the updates and everything, that I'd probably have a completely different experience because I think it's a completely different game compared to the launch version. Sydney is just kind of there, so she's mid. She's just the mechanic. I don't know what she's doing on this list. Chocobos. Um, I will put them in the goat tier because you can make chicken wings out of them, chicken breasts, chicken everything. So delicious source of nutrition right there. And they also serve as beasts of burden that can carry you around to other places with zero encounters. So they are goated tier. Some games they could go over rivers, they could go over oceans, and do whatever they want. They could fly, blah blah blah. Can't take anything away from chocobos. This one's a joke. I don't know what this one is supposed to be and where this one is from. So I'm not going to even rate those. But that's going to be my tier list and I'm going to stick with it. Guess it took me an hour and a half to record this. I'm going to put it on YouTube so that people will watch it over there as well. So everybody have a great rest of your night. I'm gonna end this here because it's like bedtime. So see ya.